Hey guys, welcome back to DMAC Kustoms YouTube channel. This week I'm going to make some sill plates. Well, not that one, that's the old one. I'm going to make these ones. Let's get at it. Let's get at it. And we might be in the money. Some stunt bead rolling here. Public service announcement, please subscribe, it's free, be awesome, hit the bell for notifications and can comment if you want. So check this out, this is the one and only sill plate that I got with the Area 51 project, and as you can see it's had better days. And they're really lightweight sort of aluminium, so I'm surprised that they last as long as they do in these old cars. But you can get new ones, but I'm not going to use reproduction ones because they no longer will fit with my plan, because if you remember correctly, I made these other sill plates to carry wiring and stuff like that, and also kind of give a bit of a shape to the floor. So I got to make something else. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it. It's going to be this week's challenge. So yeah, let's have a look and see. Now I've got some aluminium that I've had for kicking around for ages, and I've got a bead roller, and I've got some tin snips and grinders and stuff like that. Now, grinders don't really cut aluminium all that well because it gets too hot and it binds up the blades and stuff, so tin snips is a bit kind of messy, so I'm not really sure how I'm going to cut these sort of strips. I'm not even sure how I'm going to shape them yet, but I'm going to experiment with some offcuts in the old bead roller and see if I can get some stuff to kind of happen and kind of create the shapes that I want to try and create. So never done this kind of before, like most of the stuff on this Area 51 project. I've never done it before, so yeah, if you want to follow along and see what happens, see what we can make. Okay, there's my aluminium that I'm going to have to try and dig out from behind all these old Mori parts and ladders and 51 parts and stuff, so let's see if I can get it out without having to move half the garage around. Might start with moving. Well, that went easier than I thought it would, so until I tripped over a toolbox. Ta-da! Okay, so got my two pieces cut for my sill plates. Now I've got to put a couple of folds in these before I can do any of the kind of rolly sort of stuff. And if you've watched my stuff before, making things out of sheet metal when I don't have a long press brake or box pan folder for folding longer stuff, I use these two bits of RHS to fold stuff, but it's not overly accurate, and that's kind of what's concerning me at the moment as to whether I'm going to be able to do a neat fold without a whole ton of hammer marks and things like that in it. I'm going to give one of them a try anyway and just see how I go. I've got some more aluminium, so I'm bound to kind of completely destroy the first one and then use it anyway. We just got to give it a try, I guess. I'm not 100%, not overly confident that I'm going to be very successful at this actually, now that I'm sort of part way into it. Anyway, carry on. Okay, so I got my 2 folds done on my first piece, and I did some learning in the process, like managed to put some little dings and dents in there, but at this stage it's still salvageable, I think. There's another one there, but yeah, we might still be able to pull it back. Yeah, I made the mistake of using the end of this to try and push over that second fold, whereas much more success using it long ways and sort of hammering it over. It's a little bit less likely to kind of get one of the corners and create a little, I don't know if you can see it in there, but a couple of little dings in there. But yeah, at this stage it's still salvageable. I might be able to planish that out and smooth it out. Being aluminium, it's a little bit more pliable than steel, so, but yeah, you kind of only get one shot at it. If you really kind of cock it up, it's all over. Big decision as to whether to try and get the other side to this point before I go too much further, in case I forget how I did the first side, because then I want to put do a bead roll in here to have the bulge kind of sticking out that way, so kind of pushing in from this side to get a curve, and then I can trim that top edge, and then I can cut it to length and cut these sort of ends on there, just probably by tin snips, maybe just cut them a little bit extra, and then I can figure out what to do on this face here. I mean, on the original one that's just got, I don't know, it looks like it had a pattern on there, and then just a lipped edge that goes out to the edge of the sill. So I'll probably do something like that, but whether I do, maybe try and bead roll, am I going to try to get too fancy pants if I try to bead roll something down, a couple of lines? If I try to get things parallel, it's probably just not going to happen, whereas if I just do the edge bead and then trim that, I might have a bit more success, and then it'll just be kind of plain on the inside is the only thing, unless I can find a nice way to do the screw heads to kind of have them as like a kind of decorative and functional thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but that's where we're at. So I might fold up the other one, or should I try everything on this before I go too far on the other one? I don't know. I'm just making this shit up as I go along, so let me think about it. Okay, decision made. I folded up the other one, so onto the bead rolling now. So back to amateur hour at bead rolling by Dave. Going to start with the top part that kind of loops up over the carpet and this bit. So it's going to come get a little that way. So I've got to go this way. Being that it's quite close, I'm going to run this edge just against the nut, so I won't use my fancy pants straight edge that I made a while ago, and we'll see how this rolls. Get it? See how this rolls? Okay. Hey, battery went flat. That's what I'm going to say anyway. Did my first bead roll, and following that edge there, and didn't really take into account how flexible aluminium is, so it still wandered off a little bit. So I did 2 passes on it and managed to wander off in different places on each pass. And I've just trimmed up, quickly trimmed with the old tin snips, because having 2 passes in it kind of put quite a lot of warpage on there, so I cut that little bit off this side here, which kind of like helped pull it back. Still savable, I think, at this stage, so I'm going to forge ahead and do the other side. It looks rough at the moment. It's going to get some finishing, of course, so don't you fret about that. So, but yeah, I'll forge ahead and do the other side. So, see how that pans out. Okay, update. Still looks rough as, but sort of trimmed it up to kind of roughly go where it's going to go, and we might be in the money. Still needs tweaking, and still got to do something with this bottom section here it's got to be trimmed up yet to fit, and a bead roll of some sort, maybe around the edge, if I can do it, and yeah, and then try and line up my screw holes from the other sill plate type things, and then of course I've got to like try and tidy this up somewhat, hopefully filing and sanding and a bit of hammering and stuff, and then we'll see whether it finishes up good enough to leave an aluminium or whether it's going to need smoothed out and painted. But we'll see. Now I'm going to match up the other side. Remember, we've got a left and a right. Now I've got to be super careful not to make 2 left-hand sides, because I've made the left-hand side so far, so I've got to trim the other one up to make sure it's correct and try and get away from some of the crappy bead rolling that I did. Yeah. So, with that being said, a big dent there, so I want to come to about there. That's pretty much there. So if I trace this one off, and then that should get me into the final trim sort of area for the right hand side, I reckon. Unless the right hand side is different. Yeah. Okay, so trim that up and then see how close we are on the right side. Okay, so we're getting closer. Just wanted to kind of push over this edge a little bit more. It's still got to be trimmed up in that yet. So I just kind of quickly made up a little kind of round anvil thing out of some scrap steel, which worked quite well. Still got a bit to do on there yet, so bit of time on the old file or sander or something to straighten these edges up from my sketchy trimming. But I want to get everything else kind of in place before I spend too much time like dialing in that final edge and stuff in case I damage it. Well, fit's getting pretty close. You can see. She's getting pretty close. Now, once it's screwed down, it'll pull down tighter onto the carpet. So this bit here is still a bit, and up the front's not too bad, but I want to kind of round off the corners, and I've got to trim this back and put some kind of bead or something in there to help into the main flat piece to dress it up and maybe help keep it a bit more rigid. Hopefully it won't completely distort it by running a bead or tipping an edge or something around there, but I'm not experienced it enough in bead rolling and that to know that just because I'm gonna have to learn that the hard way or the easy way. One way or another I'm gonna find out. Got much of a impression there, but I don't want to dent it too much. It's going to take a bit of finishing to make it nice if I dent it too much. I don't know what to do next. Do I make sure they're all trimmed back far enough and then I can figure out my bead, or should I figure out my hole so I can screw them on? That might be the way to go, actually screw them down and then I can mark my final trim. That's what I'll do. Okay, update. I have, as you saw, marked out my final sort of trim, and I've decided I'm gonna do a bit of a bead roll across that leading edge like the factory one, but I haven't got anything that fine like the factory one, so I'm gonna go as fine as I can go, but maybe just not as much pressure in there, if you know what I mean, like much wind downs. So I have to kind of count them off to get them both the same. I think it'd be really cool if they had a gauge that told you how much pressure was on your what's it, your bead roller. Now, and then of course the tricky part will be getting it somewhat straight. Not sure, I haven't done it this way before, putting the bead on that way. Should be alright, I think. Won't roll if it works, so they say. Actually, by putting it this way, I can use that edge as my guide. long as I keep that edge on my line, no, that edge on my line, we should be right. Sound like I'm just making stuff up? Kind of, because I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't even really watched any YouTube videos on how to do bead rolling. I just look at pictures on Instagram and stuff. And hopefully get it right. Is that going to be possible? I'll go as far as I can that way. Some stunt bead rolling here, I'm going to do a tight radius as I go. Oh, only did once. Maybe it might be alright. Has distorted it slightly, but should be able to push that back into shape. It's going well. Yeah, and mirror image it on the other side. Okay, so update. That's essentially one kind of done. Now, like they're not perfect, all right? So you've seen how I make them, and you know you've seen other stuff I've done. So yeah, they're not perfect, but they're not too bad actually. Kind of almost better than I thought they would be. Bead rolled a little bit down the extra there, down the middle as an extra, but yeah, a little bit wonky in places, and well, in a few places anyway. But I think for what they're designed to do, I think they'll be alright. And they'll hold the carpet in place, and better than that, so it's got to be a plus. As far as my process goes, if anyone's interested, this is a bit of trial and error. Like I just basically looked at what I've got. Aside from the various files and stuff, doing the edges and whatnot, I've just got some 150, some 320, and over that's rubbish, and this bit of grey Scotch-Brite. I don't know what the grade of Scotch-Brite it is. It's just a piece that a mate of mine gave me a couple of bits, and I don't know what the score is with that yet. Sunday traffic. So yeah, that's one down to that level. I don't know how easily they'll mark up or whether they'll oxidize and stuff. They probably will. So but it gets to the point where they need constant polishing and Scotch-Briting and stuff. There'll be nothing left of them, so I may end up either clear coating them or even painting them, you know, like silver or something. I don't know. Like these were most likely anodized, which stops them oxidizing for a while by the looks. So yeah, process, yeah, 150, use the 150 to get into any sort of deep wander arounds with the with the bead roller, where I kind of like tried to fix things where I'd wandered off and now ended up with all these little track marks, and then go over the whole thing with the 320, and then the whole lot with the Scotch-Brite again. So there you have it. So if you're interested in making some bits and pieces out of aluminium and that's the kind of finish you want, you get quite a nice finish if you don't have all sorts of dents and bead roller marks and hammer marks that I leave behind. Yeah, so one more to go, and hopefully that'll be it, and then I'll test fit them again. I may put some more screws in yet, just to keep them flat. I've got to check whether they're going to interfere with the door. I don't think so, they shouldn't do, but you never know, so I've got to check that. I'll show you when we get that far. Alrighty, so got them screwed back into place. This side here, the door is still, it's actually sitting a bit high at the moment, so it's clearing well and truly. The other side, the door's dropped, so it's kind of touching. But yeah, so that's them all kind of screwed into place, and so we've got a little bit of a gap here for the old carpet to kind of get hooked under. There's a few blemishes and bits of amateur hour bead rolling, but they'll be alright. It sort of depends on how good your eyesight is, whether it's acceptable or not. And shouldn't shut that door because it's going to hit there. So this is the old driver's side. It's got a little blemish here, but that was me trying to straighten it out, but I managed to just make more marks. Yeah, but on the whole, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Like I say, if they tarnish up, I could basically paint them, you know, or clear them of somehow. I don't really know what you'd put over straight aluminium without some kind of etch, some kind of fancy pants clear or something like that to stop them oxidizing. But if they start doing that, then I'll just take it all off and just paint them. Yeah, just paint them silver, or maybe something that details with the interior of the car, I don't know. And if I do that, then I can spray some high build primer on there and fill up some of the little divvy blemishes and stuff that I made in them. Well guys, I'm going to leave it at that for this video on the old making up some these. I took them back off again because this door was hanging low and it kept like hitting it on the bottom. The other side was right, but I'll just take them off so I don't beat them up climbing, you know, there with my wellies on and stuff. Might pull something then. As always, thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing, thanks for commenting, thanks for any suggestions that you guys might have on how to do things a little better. If you've been watching along and following along with this channel and the progress on the Area 51, you've pretty much probably realised now that largely amateur hour, and I'm just trying to figure out stuff, how to make some stuff as I go along and do the things. Some of it I've got some experience with, but some of it I'm just having a crack at it. So my lack of bead roller experience and skills is probably quite significant on this little project, and quite evident with some of the little fudge ups that I've made with that. There's that. If I had a bead roller that I didn't have to go like that and then go and just get everything crooked every time I'm trying to reach for the far end of the hand crank. Either that or I get a helper, like a little monkey, to do the hand crank part. But yeah, that worked. So yeah, just get out there. If you're unsure and you don't know how to do stuff, there's plenty of other YouTube people out there who are really good at stuff, and they will tell you how to do it, and then you can just go and have a crack at it and do it. To be honest, I haven't really looked at any bead rolling videos. I've just kind of been guessing. Just it seems fairly logical, but there's obviously lots of things that you could probably benefit from knowing in advance, whereas I'm probably just going to learn those the hard way. And I need to do more of it, like, put it that way. I should do more of it, and then I'll get better at it, and maybe not quite so wonky. Maybe I should motorise or do something with my bead roller to make it more usable, like in the respect that you don't have to reach right over and still try and keep an eye on what you're line and stuff. Got an old steering wheel from the old bomb truck hanging up somewhere in here. I can't remember where it is now. I could look at adapting that to fit onto the old Eastwood bead roller, get rid of that hand crank, that way you can kind of keep your hand over here rather than, I don't know, like that. Hey, yep. But yeah, anyway, that's enough rambling. I made my sill plates. Thanks for watching, really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, it'd be really cool if you did. Go and just hit the button, it's not hard. If you want notifications, you can do that. Appreciate any comments or suggestions down below in the comments box. And other than that, I don't know what I'll do next. I'm going to get ready to lift this thing off the chassis at some point, but I need to get some steel so I can make a frame and then find places to put everything when I pull it all apart. As you can see, we don't have a lot of room in here at the moment, but yeah, maybe a tidy up's in order. Anyway, till next time, take it easy, peace.